Ms. Reed, if you could start the live stream, thank you very much. Welcome. My name is Chip Curry. I'm a state senator, and welcome to the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. We are convened today for the purpose of for a public hearing for the purpose of considering nominees for various authorities across the state. We'll be reviewing nominees for the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority, Loring, the Loring Development Authority, and the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees. So at this point, I would ask if members could introduce themselves. Representative Geiger, would you start us off?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. My name is Valerie Geiger. I'm the representative for District 93, Rockland and Owl's Head.
Good morning. My name is John Andrews. I represent District 73 in Western Maine, towns of Buckfield, Hebron, and Paris.
Is it me? My turn?
Yeah.
Am I up? Okay. Good morning, Maine. I'm Representative Sue Austin, hailing from Gray. I have portions of Gray and portions of Raymond, Casco, and I have all of Fry Island in Big Sebago Lake.
Good morning. I'm Senator Scott Searway. I represent District 16, which covers Waterville, Winslow, Benton, Albion, Clinton, and Unity Township.
Representative Hassenfuss, could you go ahead?
Yep, sorry, I was on mute there. Representative Hassenfuss, House District 81, which is Winthrop, Reedfield, and part of Monmouth.
I think I need to go next since we're skipping someone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sue Bernard. I represent Caribou, Westmanland, and New Sweden, and that's District number 149. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Representative Tiffany Roberts, representing House District 6, which is the majority of North Berwick and South Berwick, and I am your House Chair.
And good morning once again. I am Senator Chip Curry, and I am the Senate Chair, and I represent the 26 rural, coastal, and island communities of Waldo County. Welcome. And I see we have a number of folks in the attendee list. We will be bringing folks in one at a time and for consideration. The order that we'll be going in, we'll start with appointments for the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority, then we'll go on to Loring, and then we'll round out with the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees. And with that, if we could go ahead, Ms. Reed, if you could promote Mr. Herman Nichols. And we'll begin. Welcome, Ms. O'Neill Lowe. Welcome. So.
Are you asking me to introduce him now? No, okay.
Not yet. Thank you.
I just was making sure.
Just recognizing that you're with us, and I'm waiting.
Thank you. Thank you,
Mr. Nichols. Welcome. So I have some language. I'll get started, and then we'll get going. So thank you for being here. This is a public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Mr. Herman A. Nichols of Bath for reappointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. Under the law and joint rules of the legislature, this committee is required to hold a public hearing and to recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chairs of the committee, we will then send written notice to the committee's recommendation to the President of the Senate. The committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and other persons present who wish to speak for or against the nomination. The meeting is currently being live streamed. I think we understand all the YouTube dynamics at this point, or the Zoom and YouTube dynamics at this point. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statute, which requires that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Chair Roberts for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend confirmation of Mr. Herman A. Nichols of Bath for reappointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Actually, I'm not certain I have to call a second on that one, but I'm doing it. So with that, a copy of the statutory requirements for this position are available at the rostrum, and one could reach out to our committee clerk, Eva Reed. At this point, I realize I've forgotten to introduce Ms. Reed. Ms. Reed is our committee clerk, and anyone that needs to reach out to her for technical issues can reach out to her via 287-4880. Chair now recognizes Ms. O'Neill Lowe for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome, Ms. O'Neill Lowe.
Thank you, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. My name is Melissa O'Neill Lowe, and I am the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet T. Mills. I'm here today on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination for reappointment of Herman A. Nichols of Bath, also known as Nick, as a member of the Mid-Coast Regional Redevelopment Authority. The Mid-Coast Regional Redevelopment Authority can be found in Maine Revised Statutes under Title V, Chapter 383, Section 13083-G. The board was established with the goal of facilitating the rapid development of the properties within the geographic boundaries of the Brunswick Naval Air Station. Going forward, if it pleases the committee, I will just skip right to the nominees' narrative, if that pleases the committee going forward. Herman Nick Nichols of Bath is being nominated for reappointment to seat number 10 on the authority and currently serves as the chair of the authority. He is a retired U.S. Navy captain with over 30 years of combined active reserve service. He is retired from the Bath Iron Works as a director, surface ship support and modernization, where he was responsible for all offices and personnel across the country, totaling 400 personnel. He is a volunteer at the Brunswick Naval Aviation Museum, a Maine Technology Institute, and Maine Maritime Museums. He holds a BA from Colby College and his MBA from the University of Maine. For these reasons outlined here this morning and for his commitment to the authority in the past, it is for these reasons that on behalf of Governor Mills, I would ask that you support the reappointment of Herman A. Nichols of Bath to the Mid-Coast Regional Redevelopment Authority. Happy to answer any questions that anybody has this morning.
Thank you. Chair would ask if any members of the committee has questions for Ms. O'Neill Lowe at this time.
Thank you.
Seeing no question. Oh, was that a question, Representative Andrews?
I had a question for Mr. Nichols, if that's all right.
Well, you'll have a moment in a second.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. The chair now recognizes Mr. Herman A. Nichols for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Can everybody hear me all right? Okay, I guess I'd like to start with thanking Missy or Miss O'Neill, excuse me, for helping us get ready for all this. Those of us that aren't used to these kinds of things, it can be a little daunting, but Missy made it very easy, so thank you. So Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, honorable members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business, good morning. Still a chilly morning in Maine. My name is Herman Nichols, but as Missy said, please call me Nick. Usually if someone calls me Herman, that means I'm in trouble. I live in Bath, and I have the honor of being nominated for reappointment as a trustee of the Mid-Coast Regional Redevelopment Authority. I've served on the Mira board since January of 2018. And as a board member, I served as treasurer for 3 years. And as Missy said, I'm currently chair. I recently replaced Rita Armstrong, who did a really outstanding job leading the board for these past 3 years, up to including the transition to Mira's new executive director. I'm very thankful for the strong support from Steve Levesque, the first Mira executive director who retired just this past December and who led Mira from its inception to the success it is today. I'd also like to thank Christine Logan, the current Mira executive director, for her support. Christine has hit the ground running, and I look forward to continue working with her and her outstanding team. I'd also like to thank Governor Mills for nominating me for this reappointment. As Missy said, I I attended Colby College and grad school at the University of Maine. I also taught at Maine Maritime Academy for 3 years while I was in the Navy, and worked 30 years for Bath Iron Works. And I served on the base as a naval officer in multiple active and reserve tours during my 30-year Navy career. So I believe I continue to bring a strong Maine-focused experience to the board. I joined the Mira board to be part of the initiative to fill the large economic gap left by the departure of the Navy in 2011. I really, coming aboard and working on Mira for the last few years, I never imagined how far Mira and the Midcoast businesses and community have come to achieving that goal. Steve and now Christine have led an effort where the activity today on the old base has achieved the local, regional, and state economic impact that exceeds the economic value that existed when NAS Brunswick was fully operational. And just some key metrics include that the business entities have invested nearly $1 billion in properties in their businesses, new employment creation of over 2,500 jobs, over 200 million in new property valuation, resulting in over 30 million of new state and local real estate and income taxes, and the full occupation and expansion of the housing stock, which is estimated to be about 4,000 residents, all since NAS Brunswick closed in 2011. Needless to say, it's been very exciting being a part of this endeavor, but there's more work to be done as Mira looks to complete its redevelopment mission. It will be an honor and privilege to continue serving an institution that has and will continue to have such a positive influence on the great state of Maine. I sincerely hope that you will look favorably upon my nomination. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols, and thank you for your years of service.
Thank you.
The chair would ask if any members of the committee have questions at this time. Are there any questions? Representative Andrews, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Nichols, for being here today. You have a very impressive resume. I was curious, with your background, what are your thoughts on LD 1923, the proposed spaceport that would probably have some impact on your area? I'd just love to hear your thoughts and expertise on that.
Well, I think, again, bringing a company on board in terms of the jobs and everything else here in this area would be terrific. And I think it follows with sort of the plan and the development of Tech Place and the types of technological companies that have come aboard, and we'd like to continue coming aboard. And I think, and I'm not sure where your question might be heading. I think Mira and Brunswick Landing would be a great spot to have offices and operation centers for something like that. The actual launch sites, which I think is going on up the coast. I mean, I hope folks will support that. Obviously, I'm very supportive of what we can do here in the Brunswick area. I don't think that would include the actual launch site piece, but obviously, because I think it's too dense. But I would support anything that would bring technology and the jobs that that kind of business brings. Sorry for the long-winded answer.
No, thank you very much.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Nichols? Seeing no other questions. Chair will now take comments from persons attending this hearing who wish to speak for or against this nomination.
Sir, Mr. Chairman, I think there's another question. Sorry.
Sorry, I have evidently I'm sitting on the attendee list, and so I don't see the hands on this one. Representative Austin, thank you very much.
I won't waive my minutes, but I will let Valley go ahead of me.
I think
Oh, I was
Representative
trying to bring
Geiger was
attention
just
to your-
grabbing my
your
attention.
Wanting to speak.
Yeah.
Thank you for everybody's consideration. Nick, if I may, thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your work on this board and your service. I think I heard you say, and I'd be really excited to hear it again. Did you say that we now, in the build out, we have surpassed what was originally the resource of the Brunswick Naval Base in its prior
Yes,
content?
the overall economic impact that's correct. And that's something Steve stated publicly last fall. That's correct. The mix is a little different than, what you would have with military personnel. But if you put it all together, including the taxes and everything, yes, ma'am, that is the case.
I guess as one, I would say, would you please share with your board? That's a phenomenal accomplishment. In, let's see, would that be in about 10 years?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it goes without saying, Steve Levesque deserves a lot of credit in terms of his leadership and bringing the team together that allowed that to happen. We were very lucky. Well, we'll continue to be, because Steve I'm sure will continue to help us. But thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Representative Geiger, you didn't have any questions? Thank you.
I did not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chair will now take comments from persons attending this hearing who wish to speak for or against this nomination. Ms. Reed, is there anyone here in attendance that has indicated they wish to speak for or against this nomination?
No.
Thank you. All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. We'll review any additional written comments on nominations that have been received by the committee. Has Ms. Reed, has any additional written testimony been received? Ms. Reed?
No.
Okay. And is that the case for everyone today? Have we received any additional testimony today?
The president is speaking on 2 people, but other than that, no.
Okay, but no written. Okay, thank you. Voting, so all comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed. There's no written comments to review. We can vote on the nomination, notify the president and the Senate pursuant to Title III MRSA Section 157 and the joint rules. The vote must be taken within 35 days from the date of the governor's written notice. The hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for Mr. Herman A. Nichols of Bath for reappointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority is closed. If I had a gavel, I'd hit it right now. In accordance with the law, the committee may not take the vote on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing unless all committee members who are present agree. At this time, therefore, the chair will inquire whether any member present objects to proceeding to take the vote immediately. Seeing no objection, the pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination for Mr. Herman A. Nichols of Bath for reappointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157 and the joint rules of the 130th Legislature, the votes will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? The committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Geiger.
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews.
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pedworth is absent. Representative Collmore is absent. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway.
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme is absent. Representative Austin.
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Hassenfuss.
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative Learshell is absent. Representative Bernard.
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Roberts.
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry.
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
With a unanimous vote in favor of this appointment, the committee will make that recommendation. Thank you very much. And congratulations, Mr. Herman, and I'm sorry, congratulations, Mr. Nichols. And I look forward to, thank you for your continued service.
Well, thank you. And I thank you for your support, everyone. And I appreciate the hard work that you're all doing as well. Thank you.
Ms. Reed, if you can promote Mr. Barry Valentine. Is Mr. Valentine with us? There, okay, excellent. Welcome, Mr. Valentine. We'll get started here. This is a public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Mr. Barry Lee Valentine of Brunswick for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. Under the law and the joint rules of the legislature, this committee is required to hold a public hearing and to recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by majority vote of the committee, members present and voting. As chair of the committee, we will then send written notice of the committee's recommendation to the president of the Senate. Committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and any other persons present who wish to speak for or against the nomination. This meeting is currently being live streamed, and I think we're all familiar with those structures at this point. And it is being recorded on the committee's YouTube channel. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statutes, which requires that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, Chair recognizes Representative Roberts for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I move the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend confirmation of Mr. Barry Lee Valentine of Brunswick for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Development Authority.
A copy of the statutory requirements for this position are available at the rostrum and could be found by reaching out to the committee clerk. The chair now recognizes Ms. O'Neill Lowe for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome back.
Thank you, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and again, distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. My name is Melissa O'Neill Lowe, and I am the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet T. Mills. I'm here today on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination of Barry Lee Valentine of Brunswick as a member of the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. Barry Lee Valentine of Brunswick is being appointed to seat number 8. As you've undoubtedly seen from Mr. Valentine's biography summary, he is coming to this appointment with a wealth of experience in and around air bases and aviation. Mr. Valentine currently serves as a senior advisor at the Wix Group, a Washington, D.C.-based aviation legal and consulting firm. He has more than 5 decades of aviation experience, including positions within the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration. Mr. Valentine is a United States Air Force veteran and was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross and 4 air medals for his service in combat situations, in addition to many other awards and accolades, too numerous to continue listing here today. He holds a BS in Industrial Engineering from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and an aeronautic rating from the U.S. Air Force. Mr. Valentine still is an active pilot and currently flies a 1947 Piper PA-11. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but it sounds very impressive. He and his wife, Judy, are residents of Brunswick and believe in the continued future redevelopment of Brunswick's Naval Air Base. For these reasons outlined here this morning and many more, I would ask that on behalf of Governor Mills, you support the appointment of Barry Lee Valentine of Brunswick to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody has at this time.
Chair would ask if any members have questions for Ms. O'Neill Lowe.
It's okay, Senator. I've only been O'Neill Lowe for a little over a year and a half, so I still have a hard time saying it too.
Seeing no questions, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Barry Lee Valentine for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and honorable members of the committee. My name is Barry Valentine, and I live in Brunswick, and I am honored to be nominated to the Board of Trustees of the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority, and pleased to have the opportunity to come before you this morning. I believe my experience and knowledge can bring value to the ongoing task of the board in overseeing the development of the superb economic engine Brunswick Landing has become and will continue to be. One of the target sectors of the authority is aviation and aerospace, a sector in which I have been involved in most of my career, both in government and in industry. I believe Brunswick Landing has great potential to become a significant aviation and aerospace center, a process that has already begun. There are new and exciting technological developments happening in aerospace, such as electric aircraft, urban air mobility, and commercial space activities. The Tech Place facility at Brunswick Landing is ideally suited to serve in support of these technological developments. Brunswick Landing Executive Report also, because of its size and geographic location, has the potential to become a point of last departure and first arrival for international flight operations. I have longstanding ongoing relationships with leaders in the aviation community, both domestically and internationally, relationships that could bring value to the MIRA goals. Over the past decade, I have closely followed the development of Brunswick Landing. That's because of a family connection to the MIRA folks, and have been most impressed with what MIRA team has accomplished thus far. I would be honored to be part of that continuing process. Thank you for the opportunity to address the committee this morning. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
And thank you for being here today. One of the great pleasures of being in this role is meeting fairly amazing people. So thank you. And the chair will ask, are there any questions by members of the committee for the nominee? Seeing no questions. Thank you very much. Let's see. Chair will now take comments from persons attending the hearing who wish to speak for or against this nomination. I understand there are no other folks to give testimony today. Is that correct, Ms. Reed?
Yes.
Thank you. I think I asked that in a convoluted way. So no one is here to give testimony related to Mr. Valentine. All right. All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. There's no written material, so we can now move forward to a vote in accordance with the hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for Mr. Barry Lee Valentine of Brunswick for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority is closed. In accordance with the law, the committee may not take a vote on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing unless all committee members who are present agree. At this time, therefore, the chair will inquire whether any member present objects to proceeding to take a vote immediately. Seeing no objections. Pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination of Mr. Barry Lee Valentine of Brunswick for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157, and with the joint rules of the 130th Legislature, the votes will be taken by the yeas and nays. Ms. Reed, a vote of yes will be in favor of the recommendation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Geiger,
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews,
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pebworth is absent. Representative Collmore is absent. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway.
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme is absent. Representative Austin.
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Bernard.
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Hassenfuss.
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative LaRochelle is absent. Representative Roberts.
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry.
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
With the votes taken and a unanimous vote and recommendation, we will proceed with recommending this to the Senate for confirmation. Thank you very much, Mr. Valentine.
Thank you very much. I look forward to being involved.
We look forward to having you continue to serve. And Ms. Reed, if you could promote Mr. David Lena. I do look forward when we're in person and we're able to give a standing ovation at that point and shake hands. So welcome, Mr. Lena. I've got a few things to read and we'll get started. This is a public hearing for the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor, Mr. David W. Lena of Portland, for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. Under the rules under the law and the joint rules for the legislature, the committee is required to hold this public hearing and to recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chair of the committee, we will then send written notice to the committee's recommendation to the president of the Senate. The committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and any other person present who wishes to speak for or against the nomination. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statute, which requires there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Representative Roberts for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend confirmation of Mr. David W. Lena of Portland for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority.
A copy of the statutory requirements for this position is available at the rostrum and can be received by reaching out to the committee clerk. Chair now recognizes Ms. O'Neill Lowe for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. My name is indeed Melissa A. O'Neill Lowe, and I am the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet Mills. I'm here today on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination of David W. Lena of Portland as a member of the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. David is being recommended for appointment to seat number 1. He is a lifelong resident of Cumberland County and grew up in and near Brunswick. He's coming to you today as an entrepreneur with a business-minded approach to development. He has spent the last 12 years managing and developing large tech projects for 3D and 2D productions, which, as we've all undoubtedly seen, is the way of the future. He is the owner, president, and chief technology officer for his company, Sky Castle Studios. His connections and knowledge in this space is second to none. Given this background and his entrepreneurial spirit, we have no doubt that David will be an asset to this authority in the future growth of the base in Brunswick. It is because of these reasons outlined here this morning that I would ask that on behalf of Governor Mills, that you support the new appointment of David Lena of Portland to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Chair would ask if any member of the committee has questions. Seeing no questions, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair will now recognize Mr. David W. Lena for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is David Lena. Not to worry, everyone makes the mistake. It's just hard to read. But Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and members of the IDEA Committee, thank you so much for your time and consideration in this matter. I'm originally of Bodenham, currently of Portland, Maine, and I'm here to discuss my nomination to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. My background is in computer systems and programming, used primarily in entertainment products. I've worked in VFX for award-winning feature films, animated television shows, and video games for more than 15 years. And I currently own and operate a medium-sized internet company called Sky Castle Studios that uses online and 3D technologies to produce toys for board games and similar tabletop environments. It's primarily an entertainment production. But my company ostensibly is a tech startup, but since its inception, we followed a more traditional company's arc to success, Unlike a lot of tech startups, we're not interested in using massive debt to finance overly quick growth in the hope of being acquired by a larger company. Instead, we've grown slowly, providing services that we love, and are attempting to build a lasting company that we can be proud of. The experience I have in working in tech and building my company gives me some insight into how I can be helpful to other motivated individuals who see the potential of Maine's geography and culture and want to start their own companies, ideally with an eye to building a tech community that wants to create long-lasting relationships with the state and become more reliable employers and members of the community. I hope that I can join Mira and help put together a useful and clear roadmap for people who want to make their own tech startups in the area. And there's so much potential here that I hope I can help unlock. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you for your time and consideration. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Linay, and thank you for helping me, correcting me on pronunciation of your last name. And thank you for your willingness to serve. Chair recognizes Representative Austin with the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. David, welcome. Would you probably are progressively further ahead than being one of the folks that took advantage of the small incubator offices at the development in the early days? Would that, can you confirm or disaffirm that?
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
Yes, I actually founded the company in Los Angeles while I was staying there for a few years, and then moved back once it had become stable because this is my home and I would rather live here.
Thank you very much. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Linay? Seeing no other questions, thank you very much for your willingness to serve. Ms. Reed, is there anyone here wishing to give testimony for or against Mr. Linay?
No, there's not.
Great. All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed the hearing and recognizing that there have been no written comments in addition that have been received. The hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation Development, Economic Advancement and Business for Mr. David W. Linay of Portland for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority is closed. In accordance with the law, and the committee may not take a vote on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing, unless all committee members who are present agree. At this time, therefore, the chair will inquire whether any member present objects to take the vote immediately. Seeing no objections. The pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation Development, Economic Advancement and Business recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination for Mr. David W. Linay of Portland for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157 and with the joint rules of the 130th Legislature, the votes will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Clerk, the committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Geiger.
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews.
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pebworth is absent. Representative Collmore is absent. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway.
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme is absent. Representative Austin.
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Bernard.
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Hassenfuss.
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative LaRochelle is absent. Representative Roberts.
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry.
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
With a unanimous vote in favor of supporting the recommendation, that will be the recommendation of the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Linay. I look forward to hearing all the wonderful things that are happening down at Brunswick Landing and MRSA.
I'm very excited myself.
MRRA. I'm sorry, I added an S there. My apologies. Okay, and Ms. Reed, if you can shift Ms. Rita Armstrong into the panelist group. Well, Ms. Armstrong is shifting over. I'll begin. This is a public hearing on the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor, Ms. Rita Armstrong of Freeport, for reappointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. Under law and the joint rules of the legislature, this committee is required to hold a public hearing and recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chair of the committee, we will then send a written notice of the committee's recommendation to the president of the Senate. Committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and any other person present who wish to speak for or against the nomination. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the main statute, which requires that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Representative Roberts for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend confirmation of Ms. Rita Armstrong of Freeport for reappointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority.
Thank you. A copy of the statutory requirements for this position are available at the rostrum, and can be reached by reaching out to the committee clerk. Chair will now recognize for the purpose of Ms. O'Neill Lowe for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. I am Melissa O'Neill Lowe, and I am the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet Mills. I'm here today on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination for reappointment of Rita Armstrong of Freeport as a member of the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. Rita Armstrong of Freeport is being nominated for reappointment to her seat number 4 on the authority. Having served over a decade on the authority, Rita brings a strong sense of leadership to the authority that without would most definitely be missed. She is a proven leader in her community and is a local business owner and real estate agent. She brings a development background and integrated marketing with a strong demonstrated history of building strong relationships through collaboration and commonalities. She has served as chair and treasurer of the authority and formerly served on the Maine Tourism Commission, as well as many other state and local boards and commissions. She holds a BA in journalism and political science and has completed a series of graduate work within the human resource space. It is because of Ms. Armstrong's demonstrated commitment to the authority and the continued growth and redevelopment of the Brunswick Air Base that on behalf of Governor Mills, I would ask that you support the reappointment of Rita Armstrong of Freeport to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone has at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Representative Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I should have asked this at the beginning of all these, but these are 3-year appointments. Is that correct?
These are, I believe 4-year, but let me just grab my little sheet here. They're 4-year appointments, Representative Andrews.
Thank you. And that's for everybody we're seeing today is 4 years?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Rita Armstrong for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good morning, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and the members of the Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. It is really an honor to stand before you today in consideration. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. My name is Rita Armstrong. I'm from Freeport, and I'm here to discuss with you my nomination to the Board of Trustees for the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. It is truly an honor to stand before you today in consideration of this appointment. As you just heard, I was appointed just before the official closure of the Brunswick Naval Air Station in 2011. And I remember sitting in that closure ceremony and really being impacted by the importance of the work that we had before us in the redevelopment. And it has been so rewarding to work with my fellow trustees, all committed and professional, with the tremendous leadership of our executive director up until last year, Steve Levesque, and the tremendous staff and really vibrant communities and business leaders. As Nick, I won't recount the tremendous successes that we have seen at Brunswick Landing, because Nick did a great job, I think, of giving you an overview. But it has been rewarding to see the involvement and the investment by the local community and the number of jobs created. We have just really achieved almost every goal that was set by the reuse committee. When I first, shortly after when I was appointed, I was asked to serve as the treasurer, and as such chaired the finance committee for many years, became vice chair, and for the past 3 years served as chair. It's my hope, I was very pleased to be considered for reappointment, because it's my hope to provide some continuity to the organization, and especially to our tremendous new executive director, Christine Logan, as we move forward to a whole new phase of Brunswick Landing. I hope that you also will consider my past experience. I had a wonderful career at LL Bean, managing marketing there, overseeing large budgets, large staffs. So I had that corporate background, but also then being a business owner myself. It's been wonderful to see all of the businesses, over 150 businesses in place at Brunswick Landing. And so I think I bring an interesting mix to the table. So I guess I would hope that you find my nomination worthy of appointment, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Chair will now ask if there are any questions from members of the committee. Chair recognizes Representative Geiger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Armstrong, thank you so much for being here today. You have been there since the very beginning, and I'd really be interested in your, you referred to sort of a new chapter in the Redevelopment Authority, and I'd love for you to speak a little bit more about that. I know that you started with a huge landmass and that much of it has now been leased or under development. What's left?
Well, I think there's a lot left to be done. You know, we've established a really terrific community of businesses, but what we want to make sure that the airport continues to be vital. So there's more aeronautics, I think, that we could bring. I know that our new executive director is looking at the further development of Tech Place, which she led from its inception very successfully, to continue to have that incubator that brings in new young companies that then can grow either onto the landing or beyond. You know, one of the important pieces for us was that this is that we are sustainable. And so our plans are to ultimately be able to provide 100% renewable energy that's produced on the campus. So that's a big project. So there's a lot still to be done. We have a tremendous basis. I think one of the goals of the Finance Committee always was to oversee and ensure that the whole landing would be sustainable over time. And we're on our way to doing that. It's in very good shape that way. But there's a lot of growth that could still happen.
Mr. Chair, can I make just one follow-up?
Please do.
I just want to thank you for your work and say that what has happened there throughout your tenure is just an incredible example of a public-private partnership and where it can go for the state of Maine, the numbers of jobs that have been created, the numbers of businesses that are now part of it. Congratulations and thank you so much for your service. And I'm personally delighted that you want to continue to serve.
Thank you. And the public-private partnership, that's been so important. So that's a great call out and really an important basis of our success.
Chair recognizes Representative Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Ms. Armstrong, welcome. And we're so glad to see you. I have a little bit of a two-part, if I can, Mr. Chair. How frequent, I guess I'd ask, what frequency do requests to engage in possible projects at the landing happen? I mean, with what regularity do you see new innovative folks trying to maybe establish a presence there?
You know, that's a great question. And it's the fielding of inquiries and the vetting of those interested parties is a big part of what the staff is engaged in. And, you know, you would think that that would have been huge in the beginning and it might have slowed down at some point. Well, it's not.
That's
And,
good.
you know, Maine is, I think more and more people really see the draw of Maine. Our local communities around Brunswick Landing are really thriving, and in many ways, but it's a desirable area, and so we see that there are a lot of inquiries still, and you know, there's nothing like success to bring in more because there's so much energy on that landing. The local business owners are really terrific. It's been one of the most rewarding things to see is the community that has developed.
Thank you. Secondly, now this is going to be, if you thought the other one was a good question, this one's a difficult one.
Okay.
Is there any particular area of development that you have seen start to now that is like the most mind-boggling that we are now realizing here in Maine that we probably never thought could come here and flourish? Is there anything that really comes to that level? Probably more than one thing, but can you give me one?
Well, I the one I would say, and I think it might have been Representative Andrews who asked this question. It is the space initiative. Blue Shift is an incredible company. When I think about entrepreneurs who have tremendous energy and vision, I think about Blue Shift and what's happened there. So I would never have expected that. I would have to say that's part of the energy that you see on Brunswick Landing of innovation and that a real eye to the future.
Thank
So
you.
that one jumps out at me.
I think you hit a good one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions by committee members? Seeing none, thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Ms. Reed, is there anyone here in the attendee list that is here to speak for or against Ms. Armstrong's nomination?
Stephen Levesque put in written testimony in support, but I'm not sure if he would like to speak.
Would Mr. Levesque, if you would like to speak, you're welcome to raise your hand and we will promote you. Okay, we'll move on. Thank you very much. Seeing that there are no, there's no other testimony. All right, we got to get to the right page. All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed. There's been no other testimony the hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for Ms. Rita Armstrong of Freeport for reappointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority is closed. In accordance with the law, the committee may not take the vote until on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing, unless all committee members who are present agree. At this time, I'll inquire, does anyone oppose moving ahead? Seeing no objection, the pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination of Ms. Rita Armstrong of Freeport for the reappointment of the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority be confirmed in accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157, and the joint rules of the 130th Legislature. The vote will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. Vote of no will be in against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Geiger,
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews,
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pedworth is absent. Representative Collmore. Yes. Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway.
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme is absent. Representative Austin.
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Bernard.
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Hassenfuss.
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative LaRochelle.
Yes.
Representative LaRochelle, yes. Representative Roberts.
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry.
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
Having received a unanimous motion that the committee will be recommending your nomination move forward to the Senate. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it.
Excellent. Thank you for your continued service. I know that a couple of committee members are with us that weren't here at introductions. Representative Collmore, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, thank you. Apologies for being late. I had some internet issues and had to wait for my local library to open so I could use their internet. My name is Amanda Collmore. I represent House District 106, Pittsfield, Clinton, and Detroit.
And Representative LaRochelle.
Yes, good morning. Thank you. Also, apologies for being late. My name is Reagan LaRochelle. I represent House District 86, which is part of Augusta.
Excellent. And just to let you know where we are, we're going slightly out of order. So we have started with the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority, and we've just completed the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority nominations. We're now going on to the Loring Development Authority nominations, of which we have 2. And then we'll wrap up with the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees. So if Ms. Reed, if you could promote both, we're going to go first with Ms. Grace O'Neill and then with Mr. Joseph Sleeper. If you could promote both of them into the room, that'd be great. This is a public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor, Ms. Grace O'Neill of Limestone, for appointment to the Loring Development Authority of Maine. Under the law and the joint rules of the legislature, this committee is required to hold this public hearing to recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chairs of the committee, we will then send written notice of the committee's recommendation to the president of the Senate. The committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and any other person present who wish to speak for or against the nomination. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statute, which requires that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Representative Roberts for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend the confirmation of Ms. Grace O'Neill of Limestone for appointment to the Loring Development Authority of Maine.
A copy of the statutory requirements for this position is available at the rostrum and can be received by reaching out to the committee clerk. The chair now recognizes Ms. O'Neill Lowe for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. My name is Melissa O'Neill Lowe, and I am the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet Mills. I'm here today on behalf of the Governor to speak in support of the nomination of Grace O'Neill of Limestone as a member of the Loring Development Authority. The Loring Development Authority can be found in Maine Revised Statutes under Title V, Chapter 383, Section 13080. The board consists of 13 members appointed by the governor. 7 members must be residents of Aroostook County, and at least 4 members must be non-Aroostook County residents. Ms. O'Neill comes before us today as a lifelong resident of Aroostook County, having grown up in Madawaska, and has now spent the last 20 years as a resident of Limestone. As a computer programmer analyst for MMG Insurance in Presque Isle for the last nearly 23 years, Grace comes to the table with an analytical mind. She is no stranger to public service and devotion to her community. She is a member of the Limestone School Committee, Limestone Rotary, and was a 12-year member of the Limestone Chamber of Commerce, where she served as both a member and officer, and even served as president. She has been recognized by Rotary International as the recipient of the Paul Harris Fellowship Award, along with the likes of former President Jimmy Carter, who also received this prestigious award. She has been recognized by her employer, MMG, as Volunteer of the Year for her many, many hours of community service. Grace has attended the Northern Maine Technical College and the St. John Valley Technology Center in Frenchville, where her focus was given to computer information services and technology. I have no doubt that Grace's service on Loring Development will mirror how she approaches life, with a thoughtful and mindful analysis for decision-making, as well as a clear look to what the future holds for her community, the base, and Loring. It is for these reasons outlined this morning that on behalf of the governor, I would ask that you support the nomination of Grace O'Neill of Limestone to Loring Development Authority. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Chair would ask if any member of the committee has questions. Chair recognizes Representative Bernard. You're muted.
Is this time to ask questions or speak to Ms. O'Neill?
To Ms. O'Neill Lowe. So questions for Ms. O'Neill will be after her testimony.
No, I'm sorry, no questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Chair now recognizes Ms. Grace O'Neill for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination, and welcome to the committee.
Thank you so much. Not sure I can follow what Melissa O'Neill Lowe said about me, but I would like to just share a few things. Senator Chip Curry and Representative Tiffany Roberts, members of the Joint Standing Committee of Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. My name is Grace O'Neill from Limestone, and I am here today to discuss with you my nomination to Loring Development Authority of Maine. I have been a resident of Limestone for over 20 years, and over the years have been very active in my community, volunteering in various organizations and serving on a variety of committees, which Missy took the liberty of elaborating on for me. Thank you. I have to say, though, my absolute favorite volunteer position is currently serving as Cub Master for Cub Scouts Pack 193, and being able to show and teach young children, parents included, the importance of community involvement and all that our community and surrounding area has to offer. And the old base, Loring, has a lot to offer. My family thoroughly enjoys utilizing the trails that are at the Aroostook National Wildlife Refuge that are out there. And I would love nothing more than to see life, activity, development that provides job opportunities to keep families in our area. I believe there is a new generation that wants that slower paced, rural lifestyle that our area up here in the county offers. But we need to provide the opportunities to make it possible for them to live the quality of life that everyone desires, right? So it would be an honor to serve on the board as representative of my community and county. And thank you for considering my nomination.
Thank you. Representative Austin, or Representative Bernard, would you like to ask a question?
Yes, and not even so much a question as a comment. First of all, welcome from one Rotarian to another. Glad to see you here. I think that there was a lot of thought that went into your nomination, and I'm glad that you're here, Grace. Just getting on your social media, anybody who has a dog like yours, I can't imagine someone voting against you. And I love that you have family in the background, because that is what drives all of us, I think, here in Aroostook County. We want to do best for our family. You've been here long enough to see the struggles, I think, of Loring Air Force Base and trying to get it redeveloped, repurposed. Do you have any thoughts in your mind about what might be able to happen? Any thoughts at all about how to, or even just how to approach being able to more fully develop it?
I have a few ideas, and I understand that there's some sort of strategic plan that the previous members have, kind of put together. But there's a lot of space out there. There's, an airstrip. There's buildings. Yes, they might be run down, but there can be a use for all of that. I'm seeing solar panels, going up around me in different areas. I'm interested in joining the board and having a say or being involved in what can come out there, because there is potential. There's a lot of potential.
Well, knowing you and knowing about you, I know the way that you approach things. I know the way that you work. People who work for MMG have a particular way of working, and I applaud them all for that. It's a wonderful place to work. I think they choose you carefully. And so we will be choosing you carefully, and I'll be very happy to be voting for you today.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Geiger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, Ms. O'Neill, and thank you for being interested in stepping up. I read the last report, the 2021 report of the Loring Development Authority, and it's had such a different path than the Midcoast Development Authority, and has struggled to find its place. Just reading that almost all of the revenue comes from the state and some from federal, and very little beyond that. What do you think is missing for this huge piece of property and such an opportunity for Maine to not take off yet? And do you see anything on the horizon, such as the spaceport, that could really change that?
I'll be very honest. I have not had a chance to read any reports. February was a very short month. I was out of the country for 2 weeks, but I am very interested in joining the board and catching up on where they've come from and what some of their ideas are. I can't elaborate anymore. I apologize.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Representative Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Grace, welcome. And I think to Representative Geiger's question, perhaps without being specific as to project, you mentioned how you feel that perhaps there's a timing of maybe more emphasis on people getting back to the quality of life issue. And can you add a little more to how you feel? Let me back up just a little bit. I remember visiting Limestone in the early days, and there was potential. There were things that were started. Some made it. Some projects and businesses didn't survive. So with that in mind, to fast forwarding today, can you enhance upon the very fact that you have mentioned that quality of life? Because you know the area, you know, you've lived there, you're highly engaged. How do you see that playing out now again as perhaps a new start or a new upbeat can happen at Limestone?
Sure. So I mentioned I'm Cub Master, and I also serve on the school committee. So I'm around children quite a bit, and seeing these kids grow up, I know that they love their area, they love this county, they love the rural lifestyle. But looking at the job opportunities, if there's really not a lot available, and I'm seeing it more and more with MMG. Actually, we're hiring a lot to work remote because I don't know, because the skill set just aren't there. It'd be nice to offer more opportunities out on the base and keep this young generation here in the county.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. More of a comment than a question, and thank you for being here today. And as a former Cub Scout with some great dead mothers, just thank you for doing that. I think it really has an impact on kids to have good role models like that. And hopefully seeing you participate in trying to build your community will help them want to dig in, stay, and make their county the best that it can be. So well done.
Thank you.
Representative Bernard, did you have another question?
Question / suggestion, I guess. I'm wondering what you think, Grace, about the idea, Loring Air Force Base, of course, started with the military, and so many of those people who lived at the base, military folks, who when their time was up in the military, either they just stayed in the area, or maybe they were gone for a while, but they came back. And the reason they came back was for the very reason you just talked about, was that rural lifestyle, that kind of getting back to nature, the sorts of things that many military people love. And so I'm wondering what you think of the idea, and I've heard this in another group that I belong to, and that is going to military bases that are closing, and they often have almost like work fairs, almost like college fairs, where where people could go to the bases that are closing. They hold these, and perhaps someone from, the Loring Development Authority could go and talk about what is available at Loring, and really be talking to a really specific audience, like the military folks who are about to get who are about to retire, or that their term is up. What do you think about that idea as just a draw and a possible way to pull some people back to this area?
I like it. I think it'd be interesting to just get some of them engaged and get their opinions. And that would be a good way to reach out to them. Yep.
Are there any other questions for Ms. O'Neill? Seeing none, thank you very much. Ms. Reed, is there anyone here that wishes to speak? Any attendee that wishes to give testimony for or against Ms. O'Neill's nomination?
President Jackson.
Excellent. Welcome, President Jackson.
Thank you, Senator Curry and Representative Roberts, member of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. I am State Senator Troy Jackson. I represent 37 communities in northern Maine, Senate District 1. I have the honor of serving as Senate President. I'm here today to speak on Ms. Grace O'Neill's nomination. To be perfectly honest, I have never had the opportunity to meet Ms. O'Neill. I've heard a lot about her. I know that her mother was good friends with Nina Fisher's mother in Madawaska, which gives me a lot of hope also. The fact that she is from Madawaska also is, I think good, a really good thing. I mean, lives in Limestone from Madawaska. I think she has a really good grasp on the county, being from obviously different parts of it like that. I'm actually very, very happy with the number of people that Governor Mills has put forward. Ms. O'Neill is another great nominee. As it's been said a couple times, her work as a Cub Scout leader. I've had the opportunity to be a volunteer leader for 189 Fort Kent. We maybe were on some jamborees or something in the past, but that actually speaks a lot to her character. And in addition to that, being the daughter-in-law of Gary O'Neill, I think is going to add an awful lot too, because I do know Gary and I know his passion for Limestone and the surrounding communities. In fact, the entire state. And so I'm very pleased to speak on behalf of her and look forward to supporting her on the Senate floor.
Are there any questions for President Jackson? Seeing none, thank you very much. Is there anyone else to give testimony, Ms. Reed?
No, there's not.
Thank you. All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. A review of any written materials. We have not received any written materials in addition to, is that correct, Ms. Reed? We've
Yes,
received
that's
no other
correct.
written materials? Great. The hearing, so given that, the hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation Development, Economic Advancement and Business for Ms. Grace O'Neill of Limestone for appointment to the Loring Development Authority of Maine is closed. In accordance with the law, the committee may not take a vote on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing, unless all committee members who are present agree. At this time, therefore, the chair will inquire whether any member present objects to proceeding to take a vote immediately. Seeing no objections, the pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation Development, Economic Advancement and Business recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination of Ms. Grace O'Neill of Limestone for the appointment to the Loring Development Authority of Maine be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157 and the joint rules of 130th Legislature, the vote will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? The committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Geiger,
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews,
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pebworth is absent. Representative Collmore,
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway,
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme is absent. Representative Austin,
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Bernard,
An enthusiastic yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Hassenfuss,
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative LaRochelle,
Yes.
Representative LaRochelle, yes. Representative Roberts,
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry,
Yes,
Senator Curry, yes.
with a unanimous vote in favor of the confirmation, the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation Development, Economic Advancement and Business, that the nomination for Ms. Grace O'Neill of Limestone for appointment to the Loring Development Authority of Maine be confirmed. It is confirmed. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you. Super excited.
As are we. This is public. All right. So this is a public hearing on the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation Development, Economic Advancement and Business for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Mr. Joseph M. Sleeper of Caribou for appointment to the Loring Development Authority of Maine. Under law and the joint rules of the legislature, this committee is required to hold this public hearing and to recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chairs of the committee, we will then send written notice of the committee's recommendation to the president of the Senate. Committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative the nominee, and any other persons present who wish to speak for or against the nomination. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the main statute, which requires there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, Chair recognizes Representative Roberts for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend the confirmation of Mr. Joseph M. Sleeper of Caribou for appointment to the Loring Development Authority of Maine.
A copy of the statutory requirements for this position is available at the rostrum and can be reached by reaching out to the committee clerk. Chair now recognizes Ms. O'Neill Lowe for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. My name is Melissa O'Neill Lowe, and I am the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet Mills. I'm here today on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination of Joseph M. Sleeper of Caribou as a member of the Loring Development Authority. Mr. Sleeper of Caribou is being nominated to seat number 6 and comes before you today with a wealth of historic knowledge about the region in which LDA sits. Mr. Sleeper attended Bentley University and the University of Maine at Presque Isle before beginning his career in 1983 at the family-run and owned business Joseph Sleeper and Sons in Caribou, Maine. As I've shared with Mr. Sleeper several times over the course of our dealings, it was a pleasure for me when I would visit my family in Aroostook County, and such a huge treat as a child to be able to go to Sleeper's and go shopping on a Saturday with my grandmother and cousins. I will never forget that. Mr. Sleeper has served on the Caribou Economic Growth Council and served on the Loan Committee for Caribou Development Corp. He is no stranger to economic development and knowing how to grow and survive a business, especially in an economic downturn. Since 1914, Joe and his family have maintained and grown Sleepers to what it is today, a successful and community-oriented retail business that many Mainers are familiar with, if ever having traveled to Aroostook County. Mr. Sleeper's deep understanding of the region's economic condition and his familiarity with the history of the base and the authority's business dealings will bring a much needed historically based perspective to the authority that is currently lacking from a business owner's perspective. It is because of these reasons this morning that on behalf of Governor Mills, I would ask that you support the nomination of Joseph M. Sleeper of Caribou. I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Do committee members have any questions for Ms. O'Neill Lowe? Seeing none, thank you. Chair now recognizes Mr. Joseph M. Sleeper for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome. I think you're muted. There you go.
There we are. Good morning. Good morning, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts. I'd also like to say hello to Representative Bernard, who is my representative. And if Senator Jackson is still with us, I'd also like to say hello to him as well, and also to this committee on innovation, development, and economic advancement in business, to discuss my board seat for Joe Sleeper to the Loring Development Authority of Maine. And I'd like to say good morning, a good balmy morning from Caribou, Maine. And I say balmy because it was -12 this morning, and balmy because we've seen -46 degrees, and that's not a wind chill. And I'd like to point out that, and we talked about it this morning, I work out usually in the mornings at the Caribou Inn and Convention Center, which was lined with snowmobile trailers from Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and so on and so forth. And we realize up here in Caribou that we're kind of on the edge of maintaining winter in Maine and the United States. And, you know, we're grateful that in 3 snowstorms, we had 32 inches of snow. I drove by, I had to pick up my young daughter at a friend's house Sunday in a snow squall And along the ride, I looked at these cars that were, hadn't been moved since the storms, and, to see the beauty and, quite frankly, we're lucky to have that. Recently traveled. I've been out west recently for work, down south in Florida, and see the economic activity around the country. And, here we are in this quiet area, and, but we're lucky. I don't know if you notice over my shoulder, I have a Canadian flag that was recently given to me by one of my Canadian customers who attended an event supporting the trucking matter in Canada here locally. And part of what I'd like to share is we've had a lot of new people that have relocated to Aroostook County since the pandemic. And one thing I like to point out to them is when you move to Caribou, Maine or Aroostook County, that it's not the end of the world. Once you discover Canada, you discover that we're in the center of a lot, with Canada surrounded all around us. So at any rate, just a small point there. My interest in this board, very simply, I have been in business here in the county. I think we started in '83. I made my entire living in pretty much a declining economy, and we've survived through perseverance. Myself and I have two cousins who've taken the business over. We've done a number of other things. And, but I do remember going to Loring Air Force Base when it was an active base, and a lot of great memories. And my interest in getting involved is, it is an asset within our community that needs to be exploited. Listening to board member Armstrong here in a moment ago, talking about the activity down in the Brunswick area. Quite frankly, I'm jealous. However, from what I understand, we may have another board member stepping on to the Loring development, which very honestly, I'm looking forward to meeting, listening to, and talking to. I also, given the opportunity to be on this board, I would like to meet with current board members and current directors and hear what their path is, what they're interested in, where they're going. And I would like to share in trying to put some hot air under this balloon and get it off the ground. I did share with, when I spoke with Miss Melissa O'Neill, and some of the other people out of Augusta, I just said, listen, this is, I was involved in our economic development board here in our community, which we raised 7 figures in local capital to create a number of different projects that have recently been started here. And I just said, listen, these are some of the things that we did. And if you think that, my path in trying to create would be helpful, I would be interested in serving on this board. And I guess that's all I have to share.
Thank you. Other questions for Mr. Sleeper? Chair recognizes Representative Bernard.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair Curry. And good morning, Joe. I'm so glad to see you here today. And I thank you for making yourself available for possible nomination on this board. I think your perspective would be a good one. I'm glad to hear you talk about Aroostook County being the center of the universe as opposed to the edge of the universe. And I think that's how many people have seen us over the years. It's that perspective that would be an asset. You're an optimist. You work through tough times. The whole Sleeper family does that. I need to tell everybody that, snowmobilers, you mentioned the snowmobilers and what a huge industry we have here, that they're really able to survive the cold because many of them take a ride over to Sleepers, where they sell the absolute warmest socks that there are, and wonderful outerwear. And let's not forget about the fudge. So please hang on to a piece of fudge for me. But it's a wonderful store. It's survived decades and decades of ups and downs because of how you know your community and you serve it well. So I will ask you though, as I did to Ms. O'Neill, do you have any, and I know that this is early to ask you, but any thoughts that maybe haven't been explored that we should explore for Loring Air Force Base? It is such an important piece of real estate. And I just wonder if you have any thoughts at all about how it could be utilized that hasn't been explored to this point.
Again, not having had a chance to meet with, the current board and see what their path is. Again, traveling around recently, you go into, some of these major cities. I mean, we drove down, through Tampa, and we're on one causeway, and I must have counted 12 cranes in one location, and when a lot of times when I fly into city, I try to count the number of cranes that are around the municipality, which is growth. And we need cranes here. We need growth. And and I'm sure they have it. I'd like to look at what the asset map is of Loring Air Force Base, what they hold, not to mention this airstrip that is, as we all know, the value in that and what it's meant to Brunswick. I can't discredit what's gone on previously, but I would like to look at and listen to the path. And like I say, there's another member of this board, from what I understand, that I've already reached out to, and I've actually reached out to several other board members just to kind of hear what's going on or what's been going on. So I need to do a little more due diligence prior to actually coming in with a plan. But but very simply, you got to exploit the assets of that property, very simply.
Representative Geiger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome, Mr. Sleeper, and thank you for being willing to step up to this. I think I met you a number of years ago. I was the clinical director for the Maine Primary Care Association and was often in Caribou to meet with Pines Health Center. Okay. And I believe I met you at the time, and you struck me as a very focused person, and so appreciate your experience to create and maintain a successful business despite ups and downs in your community. I think you bring the right energy for helping Loring take a fresh look at possible opportunities. I'd like to ask you the same question I asked Ms. O'Neill. Clearly this development authority has not had the opportunities that the Brunswick one does. They've taken very different, fortunes basically. But it does seem like there's a change in the air with the pandemic and all the people taking another second look at Maine. This committee just passed in a divided report passed a bill to support a public-private partnership with the aerospace industry and looking at nano satellites. And one of the things they were really excited about was Loring, the northern space, and how easy it is to get into space from that geographic location. Have you heard anything about that? And do you think that could be a game changer for Loring?
Quite honestly, several years ago, I had a customer in the store with, he was originally from the area. I think he lives in Europe now, direct ties to the White House, who said to me, he said, "You will see satellite work here." And it's been, 2, possibly 3 years, but it sounded like it was a discussion in the right places. And, again, I think board member Armstrong, it may not have been Armstrong, who did mention that Brunswick has the interest in that arena, but there's too much population there, which, we all know that that's not a problem here. So hopefully, hopefully we can entertain that path.
Mr. Chair, one follow-up?
Please.
Thank you. Mr. Sleeper, I agree with you. And it seems to me the opportunity that you're the right person who is more than willing to say, reach out to the Development Authority of Brunswick to make sure that you're walking together to help birth that new industry. So I'm happy to hear your comments about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Joe, welcome. As everybody has said, we're glad to meet you. I think you've come up with a great motto as you start out on this new journey. And I think it's very appropriate. Put a hot air under this sleeper with great potential. What do you think? You like that?
I think it works.
No, seriously, I couldn't help it. I was writing it out and I went, wait a minute. But no, as I mentioned, being at Limestone many years ago, and there were a few, that was when the Humvee folks were there. I think the airplane repair, there was a Prince's private jet was in the huge cement roofed carrier. It was so exciting then. So I guess from the things that I've seen in Southern Maine, which I never thought would even come to Southern Maine, Midcoast being one, the revitalization and redevelopment of the Pineland campus, which is phenomenal for our area and has had links to you folks through the Nordic skiing facility, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the good work of Libra. So I wanted to share what I kept saying to the state over over a duration of some of these projects. I kept saying, just be patient. Someone is going to swoop in here. And I don't think they really knew what swoop meant, but swooping happened and it has built out, and it has been such an incredible integral part of our, let's say, business economic chemistry down here. It's coming to you. And I think with you there and others working, again, readdressing and redirecting, it can't help it. Build it, they will come. So I really wish you a lot of success with your energy put in that direction. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Senator Searway.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for continuing your efforts in making a better area here for Maine, Mr. Sleeper. And I just was wondering, seems like years ago there was quite a push for refurbishing airplanes and even equipment, military equipment, whatever. I wonder if that's been looked at again in the past few years. I know in Bangor, there's this guy, he's from Australia or something, that took off with doing a great job there, refurbishing some good-sized planes, but it seems like they don't have the room there compared to where you do. Maybe somebody should approach them and maybe see what could be done. It's just an idea, but I'm thinking that it should be re-looked at. Your thoughts?
Didn't he originally begin up in this area?
I almost think so, but I can't
Sue, do
remember.
you remember, Representative Bernard, the airplane? I think he repainted and refurbed aircraft,
Right.
personal aircraft.
Yeah, he's been doing it out back of the in the Bangor airport terminals, but it just seems like he's cramped for room there. And he said
Yeah.
that he's busy as all get out. I was wondering if it could be expanded. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, I certainly would ask the questions once I'm amongst, or if I am amongst that group.
Yeah.
The board.
Well, thank you. I just think it's important.
And that's the one thing we have here is we have space. We're not inhibited. We're not. You go into the cities and and there's growth. There's growth around this country, and and we have space, and we can be reasonable. So again, I look forward to learning.
Great, thank you.
Seeing no other, Representative Bernard.
Sorry, I was just going to say, as has been mentioned, it's the runway that really is one of our biggest assets. And so I asked my husband, who's a pilot, last night, I said, but that runway hasn't been used in an awfully long time. And is it pretty beat up? And could it really be used unless an awful lot of money were put into it? And he said, oh, no. He could speak for the military. He said they would use that. They can use dried up riverbeds if they need something quickly. And so, no, he said that could still be used. He used to fly B-52s, and he said, yeah, the heavies could still use that runway.
From what I hear, it is in good shape still.
Seeing no other questions. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Sleeper. At this point, we'll go to anyone that wishes to give testimony for or against this nomination. Ms. Reed, is anyone registered to give testimony?
President Jackson.
Welcome, President Jackson. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Senator Curry and Representative Roberts, members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation Development, Economic Advancement and Business. I'm State Senator Troy Jackson. I represent Senate District 1, Northern Mercer County. I'm here to testify in glowing support of Joe Sleeper. Joe, I'm very glad that you started out your testimony talking about how the temperature was minus 46. And as you said on the thermometer, I've actually said that to a number of people. I think they thought I was a liar. So you definitely helped confirm what I've been saying. It has been a colder winter, obviously. But I am very happy to speak for Mr. Sleeper. Growing up, his family is iconic here in Mercer County and probably statewide. Coming from Allagash, I'm actually north today from Mr. Sleeper. But the idea of somebody saying, let's go to Sleepers back when I was growing up was a big deal. That's just the reputation that he and his family has. And so I think this is just an excellent choice for this board. Joe talked earlier about hot air, and I understand the reference, but he is not full of hot air. He is a doer, someone that jumps out. Anytime that I've been in a place that maybe I wasn't as comfortable, maybe a little bit out of my element, and Joe was in the room, he's the type of person that makes you feel like you belong. Always willing to strike up a conversation and start talking about anything, but most often about the county. In addition to that, his wife, Tanya, teaches at the University of Maine, Fort Kent. Again, I think that's just a great combination. The two of them understanding the county, not the differences, but the uniqueness of the entire area. I think we get, a great package with both of them. So once again, I am extremely pleased that the governor put forward this nomination. I'm really pleased that Joe agreed to take it because I know, he's going to be just a real game changer for this very important authority. So congratulations. Thank you, Joe. I really mean it. I really appreciate you stepping up. You're what we need.
Thank you, Senator Jackson.
Are there any questions for Senator Jackson? Representative Bernard.
No, not really questions for Senator Jackson, but I do just want to second his remarks because I've known Joe for a very long time, and I really definitely want to agree with Senator Jackson that I think he's just a wonderful nominee. So thank you very much for speaking today too, Senator Jackson.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Jackson. Are there any other folks in the, Representative Geiger, did you have a question?
I just wanted to second Representative Bernard. Joe, Tanya and I took the 9-month Hanley leadership course together. And so I was impressed with both of you when I met you. I think we had a couple dinners together. And I too feel like that kind of go energy that you and Tanya bring to the world will be well served with Loring.
Thank you, Representative Geiger and Representative Bernard.
Thank you. With no one else scheduled to give testimony, we'll proceed. Thank you very much. All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed to vote on the nomination. Let's see. The hearing, we'll proceed as follows. Review any additional written comments on the nomination that have been received by the committee. Ms. Reed, have we received any additional written comments?
We have not.
Vote on the nomination, notify the President of the Senate pursuant to Title III, Section 157. The hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for Mr. Joseph M. Sleeper of Caribou for appointment to the Loring Development Authority of Maine is closed. In accordance with the law, and the committee may not take a vote on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing, unless all committee members who are present agree. This time, therefore, the chair will inquire whether any member present objects to proceeding to the vote immediately. Seeing no objections. The pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination of Mr. Joseph M. Sleeper of Caribou for appointment to the Loring Development Authority of Maine be confirmed in accordance with 3 MRSA's Chapter 6, Section 157, and with the joint rules of the 130th Legislature. The votes will be taken by the yeas and nays. The vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. Vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? The committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Geiger?
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews?
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pebworth is absent. Representative Collmore?
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway?
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme is absent. Representative Austin?
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Bernard?
Very hope-filled and enthusiastic, yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Hassenfuss?
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative LaRochelle?
Yes.
Representative LaRochelle, yes. Representative Roberts?
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry?
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
With 10 members voting, members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and 0 members in the negative, it is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business that the nomination of Mr. Joseph M. Sleeper of Caribou for appointment to the Loring Development Authority of Maine be confirmed. Thank you very much, and look forward to the hot air and the revving of the engine and whatever other metaphor we have. So thank you very much. Members of the committee, I want to recognize that we've had four members, appointees waiting, and so I want to push through so that we don't have them have to wait longer, and respect their time as much as possible. So I plan on going through. If you need to grab some food off camera, feel free. But we'll keep proceeding and giving these appointments their proper attention. Do we need like a 5-minute break? I'll just look. I'm seeing a nod. Let's take a 5-minute break and we'll get started. We'll get started at 11:31. Welcome back, everybody. If committee members could turn their cameras on, let me know you're there. Waiting for a couple more members to turn their cameras on. Okay, I think we have quorum with a couple other members that we will need the quorum for the vote, but we can begin, and I think we're there. So Ms. Reed, if you can promote Ms. Elizabeth Reinhold into the panelist. Welcome, Ms. Reinhold. Somehow you're sideways on the screen. Welcome. I'll get started with the language here, and then we'll get going. And if everyone could mute if you're not speaking, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. That might be my device, but it could also be with others not on mute. This is a public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Ms. Elizabeth Reinhold of Rangeley for appointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees. Under the law and the joint rules of the legislature, this committee is required to hold this public hearing and to recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chairs of the committee, we will then send written notice of the committee's recommendations to the President of the Senate. Committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and any other person present who wish to speak for or against the nomination. pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statutes, which require that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee. Chair recognizes Representative Roberts for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend confirmation of Ms. Elizabeth Reinhold of Rangeley for appointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees.
Copy of the statutory requirements for this position is available at the rostrum and can be received by contacting the committee clerk. Chair now recognizes Ms. O'Neill Lowe for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome.
Thank you, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. My name is Melissa O'Neill Lowe, and I am the Director of Business. I've said this too many times already today. I'm the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet Mills. I'm here today on behalf of the Governor to speak in support of the nomination of Elizabeth Reinhold of Rangeley as a member of the Maine Rural Development Authority. As noted, I will read the statutory reference in this first batch of testimony, if it pleases the committee. The Maine Rural Development Authority can be found in Maine statute under 5 MRSA section 13120-D. The authority is governed by a board of trustees comprised of 7 voting members as follows. 5 members appointed by the governor and subject to review by the Joint Standing Committee of the Legislature having jurisdiction over economic development matters and confirmation by the Maine Senate. 2 ex officio members, including the Commissioner of Economic and Community Development or the Commissioner's designee, and the Chief Executive Officer of the Finance Authority of Maine or his or her designee. Elizabeth Reinhold of Rangeley is being nominated for appointment to seat number 2. Elizabeth, or Lizzie, comes before you today with a deep understanding of rural Maine. Being from Rangeley and witnessing firsthand what an economic downturn and departure of business can do to a region, she is no stranger to rolling up her sleeves and assisting in the strategic thought process of economic and community development for the benefit of her small rural town. Lizzie is familiar with policies surrounding economic development and bringing large-scale projects to fruition in Maine and beyond. In her current position with Summit Gas as the Senior VP of Sustainability, Corporate Affairs, and Marketing, Lizzie has proven that she is able to work collaboratively with local and state officials, as well as large and small businesses in an effort to bring and realize real sustainability to rural communities. I have had the pleasure of knowing Lizzie for nearly a decade and have found her commitment to Maine and its rural communities to be thoughtful, strategic, and collaborative amongst her peers. She is a critical thinker and does not just discuss ideas, she executes them. Lizzie holds a BS from Emerson College and lives in Rangeley with her daughter Cece and husband Ian. It is because of these reasons outlined here this morning that on behalf of the governor, I would ask that you support the nomination of Elizabeth Reinhold of Rangeley to the Maine Rural Development Authority. I'd be happy to answer any questions that any of you may have at this time.
Are there any questions for Ms. O'Neill Lowe? Seeing none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Elizabeth Reinhold for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much, Chairman, and thank you, Chairwoman Roberts and esteemed members of the committee. I'm really excited to be here today and really honored to be nominated for this appointment. For those who don't know me, Missy just did a great job introducing me, so thank you so much, Missy. I'm a resident of Rangeley. I currently work at Summit Utilities as a Senior Vice President of Corporate Affairs, Sustainability, and Marketing, and my husband and I also own a small contracting business in the Rangeley area. I have a deep-seated passion for rural Maine, having grown up in Cornville and being a current resident of Rangeley. I also took a brief stint of living in Eustis before moving to the big town of Rangeley. I firmly believe in efforts and supporting efforts that could drive job creation, economic development, and prosperity throughout the state. And the Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees is one body that has a true ability to support just that while also fostering stronger communities. As a native Mainer, a business owner, and an executive at a multi-state energy company, I bring with me an interesting professional and personal experience to this board through my engagement on the State Chamber of Commerce Board, my work on the Saddleback Maine Advisory Board, and through the work I've done helping bring access to reliable energy solutions to large and small employers throughout the state. I have a unique background and knowledge regarding the challenges that businesses and employers face in driving investment, innovation, and job creation to rural communities. I really am super optimistic about the future of the state and the opportunity to drive investment and jobs in communities throughout it. I think right now, given the influx of residents coming to Maine in light of the pandemic and the increase in flexibility of remote work opportunities, we're presented with an incredible opportunity right now to really drive some investment, job creation, while building stronger communities. And so I'm really excited to be appointed to this Board of Trustees today, right now, in this time where we have such an incredible opportunity before us. And I look forward to bringing my professional and my personal experience with me. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And are there any questions for Ms. Reinhold? Seeing no questions, thank you very much. Ms. Reed, is there anyone registered in order to give testimony for or against this nomination?
No, there's not.
Excellent. All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. The review of any additional written comments on the nomination. Are there any written comments that have been submitted? Additional?
No.
We'll then proceed to vote on the nomination and notify the president of the Senate pursuant to Title III MRSA Section 157 of the Joint Rules. The hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for Ms. Elizabeth Reinhold of Rangeley for appointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees is now closed. In accordance with the law, the committee may not take the vote of the nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing, unless all committee members who are present agree. At this time, therefore, the chair will inquire whether any members present object to taking the vote immediately. Seeing no objections, the pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination of Ms. Elizabeth Reinhold of Rangeley for appointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157, and with the joint rules of the 130th Legislature, the vote will be taken by the yeas and nays. The vote of yes will be in favor of recommending the confirmation. The vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Geiger?
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews?
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pedworth is absent. Representative Collmore?
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway?
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme is absent. Representative Austin?
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Bernard?
Sorry about that. Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Hassenfuss?
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative LaRochelle?
Yes.
Representative LaRochelle, yes. Representative Representative Roberts?
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry?
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
10 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and 0 in the negative, it is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business that the nomination of Ms. Elizabeth Reinhold of Rangeley for appointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees be confirmed. Yay. Thank you so much for being willing to serve on this important committee or as a board member.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too. Ms. Reed, if you could move into the panelists, Mr. Michael Duguay. And Ms. O'Neill Lowe, did I pronounce that name correct? I did? Okay, thank you.
You're referring to Duguay, yes.
Yes,
Believe,
thank you.
Unless I've been saying it wrong for a dozen years. Pretty sure.
Excellent. This is the public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Mr. Michael Duguay of Waterville for reappointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees. Under the law and the joint rules for the legislature, this committee is required to hold this public hearing and recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by a majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chairs of the committee, we will then send written notice of the committee's recommendation to the president of the Senate. The committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and any other person present who wishes to speak for or against the nomination. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statute, which requires there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Representative Roberts for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend confirmation of Mr. Michael A. Duguay of Waterville for reappointment to the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees.
A copy of the statutory requirements for this position is available at the rostrum and can be received by reaching out to our committee clerk. Chair now recognizes Ms. O'Neill Lowe for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. My name is and still Melissa O'Neill Lowe, and I am the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet Mills. I'm here today on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination for reappointment for Michael A. Duguay of Waterville as a member of the Maine Rural Development Authority. Mr. Duguay is being nominated for reappointment to seat number 2. He has served on the Maine Rural Development Authority since 2018 and is, as I said, being nominated for reappointment. He comes to you today with over 20 years experience in community, workforce, and economic development and is currently the executive director of the Harold Alfond Institute for Business Innovation at Thomas College, one of Maine's premier entrepreneurial and innovation centers. I have known Mr. Duguay professionally for approximately the last decade and have had the pleasure of working with him both while he was at the City of Augusta and again while at Summit Natural Gas as we worked together on the Kennebec Valley Gas Pipeline project in varying capacities, which ultimately brought natural gas to the Kennebec Valley. Mr. Duguay's commitment to economic development was evident during that project, and I'm pleased to see that it continues today in his career and in his service on this particular board. He holds a BA in liberal arts and political science from the University of New Hampshire and a MicroMasters in corporate innovation from the University of Queensland. He serves on several economic development-based boards and holds several certifications around entrepreneurism. It is because of these reasons that on behalf of the governor, I would ask that you support the nomination for reappointment of Michael A. Duguay of Waterville to the Maine Rural Development Authority. I'd be happy to answer any questions that any of you may have at this time.
Are there any questions for Ms. O'Neill, Lowe? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Michael A. Duguay for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination, and welcome to the committee.
Thank you very much, Senator Curry and Representative Roberts and members of the IDEA Committee. As stated, my name is Mike Duguay. I am from the city of Waterville, and I'm here today to discuss with you my nomination and reappointment to the Maine Rural Development Authority, which is a board that I really hold in high esteem. I'm a lifelong Mainer. I grew up in this town of Fairfield and went to high school at Lawrence High School. Immediately after graduating, I started a career in planning and development with the Greater Portland Council of Governments as a transportation planner. That's where I started my career here in Maine. During this early experience where I started to develop my interest, love, and passion for economic and community development. Shortly thereafter, I had the opportunity to take a position in what was then, and it probably dates me, a relatively new Maine Department of Economic and Community Development in their portfolio division for community development block grant program. And in that position, I was asked to work on the first economic development programming of its time for our state program then, the microloan and economic development infrastructure programs, which were credited to having created over 1,000 jobs since their inception. I'd then be promoted over to the Office of Business Development when it was first new as a business development specialist, and had the opportunity to travel through our great state and all of the counties and communities that you all faithfully represent. I think that was the highlight of my career. It's through that experience that I've started to become engaged in much larger economic development projects and financing packages involving the Finance Authority of Maine, the Economic Development Administration, and programs such as tax increment financing. After running a small council of governments and regional economic development agency in Brunswick called Mid-Coast Council for Business Development, I would then be hired by the city of Augusta to become their economic development director. And in the 13 years of holding that position, I'd have the opportunity to assist in the redevelopment of our Maine's capital city, overseeing projects such as the build out of the marketplace, Central Maine Commerce Center, creation of Augusta Crossing retail development, downtown redevelopment, airport reconstruction, dismantling and the environmental remediation of the Statler tissue mill, and the creation of new interstate exchange, facilitate a new regional hospital, to name a few initiatives. And all of those would not be possible with the generous help and partnership with the state of Maine, which I think has left a fantastic mark on our capital community. In an interest to bring Maine industrial, large commercial customers and residents an alternative energy source, as Ms. O'Neill had said, she and I actually worked with a much larger team other than ourselves, and I became the first employee at Summit Natural Gas of Maine startup team. And this experience would further expose me to larger development projects along the way. Taking all of this varied economic, real estate, and development project financing experience into account, I was asked for the first time to serve on the Maine Rural Development Authority. And I served 2 initial terms starting in approximately 2011. And then most recently, as stated, my second appointment was in 2018. I believe that my career, long career, and really to the commitment and development of the state of Maine, my experience in structuring substantial economic development projects, previous years of service to this esteemed board, it gave me a unique level of expertise to be considered for reappointment once again to this important and impactful entity. And again, I'd like to thank Chairs Curry and Roberts and all of the committee members here for not only the consideration, but for your great help in economic development and other things in innovation for our great state of Maine. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair would ask if any member of the committee has questions for the nominee. I think I would like to ask you, what priorities of Maine Rural Development are most exciting to you right now? What should be on our attention?
Well, I think, as you know, Maine Rural Development Authority does a great job of really sort of stopping some of the finance projects that FAME has at hand. Many of them are retention based, but I'm really excited of the things that are coming forward, like Go Labs in Madison as an example. I'm really excited, I think, not only what previous speakers had talked about, but larger projects as it relates to artificial intelligence. I know this sounds funny, but space travel or space exploration seems to be a big thing, as well as alternative energy at these sites. One of my loves was growing up in and around mill towns. I had worked at Scott Paper, put myself through college. And actually my daughter and my son-in-law work in the pulp and paper industry today as chemical engineers. I'd like to believe that we have a lot more work to do to help those industries, to shore them up and create, I believe, a much more efficient use of energy and real estate. So I'm looking forward to hopefully some of those larger projects coming forward.
Great, thank you. Senator Searway.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had to speak because here is a Lawrence High graduate, same as I, so. So anyway, and the mill towns and how it's important and whatever, and as you know, and that I've been working on the dam issue, and we've got like 5 dams they're looking at. I just wanted to hear from you what your thoughts were on effects of the economy if these dams are taken down.
You know, it's interesting, and I see Representative LaRochelle there, and she could jump in and has a lot more, I think, to say than possibly I on this, but she and I are also from the same city of Augusta, which was, I believe, the first in the country that was ordered to remove a dam, the Edwards Mill Dam. And I would really tell you that close partnerships, Capital Riverfront Improvement District, CRID, that was established by legislation at the state, was a godsend. And I think if we're going to be able to turn those types of, I guess, issues, if you will, or situations into something positive, we really need to look at a much deeper partnership. I would tell you it did have an impact on Augusta. I'm certainly not going to discount that. I do believe, though, that the redevelopment effort led by the state and the city together has really produced some really interesting economic development. Certainly in the downtown, I'm very proud of some of the work that we did earlier. The work that Representative LaRochelle and the city council have been doing has been fantastic. So I do see that as initial concern, as it were. I think we can get through that. And I believe Augusta was a great template for how to do it, along with state assistance.
So you're saying that if you took the dams down, that wouldn't mill or Futamaki, that's the, I mean, we've got to know how that would affect economically for the area.
Oh, I think in a sense where the impound area for water power, as it were, is extremely critical. And that's from someone who was, involved in bringing natural gas to Maine, right? So I think all energy is important, but in that situation, we do have to look at what is the primary energy source that's powering these mills. And clearly we have to keep that going, as well as looking into what possibly we could do for alternative to at least create a bridge.
Thanks.
Chair recognizes Representative LaRochelle. You're muted.
I put my hand down instead of unmuting myself. I'm sorry. Hi, Mike. I just wanted to say hi. I don't really have a question for you. It's just so good to see you. And I wanted to thank you for your willingness to serve on this committee as I'm learning more about, what Maine has for these types of boards and commissions. And it's really makes me so glad that someone of your qualifications would be serving in this capacity. And I will say that to the committee, if anyone ever wants to be excited or get excited about economic development, you can just give Mike a call for about 15 minutes. He's the most exciting, fun person to talk to about initiatives and development. So thanks, Mike, and it's great to see you.
Thank you, Representative. You as well. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing no other questions, thank you. Ms. Reed, has anyone registered in order to give testimony for or against this nominee?
No.
All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows: review of any written comments. Have there been any written comments submitted?
No.
And next is to vote on nominations and notify the president pursuant to Title III MRSA Section 157 of the joint rules. With that, the hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for Michael A. Duguay of Waterville for reappointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees is closed. In accordance with the law, and the committee may not take a vote on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing, unless all committee members who are present agree. At this time, therefore, the chair will inquire whether any member present objects to proceeding to take a vote immediately. Seeing none. Pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination for Michael A. Duguay of Waterville for reappointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157, and with the joint rules of the 130th Legislature, the vote will be taken by the yeas and nays. The vote of yes will be in favor of the recommending confirmation. The vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Geiger?
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews?
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pedworth is absent. Representative Collmore? Yes. Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway? Senator Searway, you're muted.
Yes, I hope he remembers about the dams to the Scott Mills, though.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Austin?
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Bernard? Disappeared.
Does not appear. Representative Bernard, are you here? I believe absent. Oh, wait a minute, can't tell.
She has her camera off.
Okay, Representative Bernard, can you vote? I think she is absent.
Representative Bernard is absent. Representative Hassenfuss?
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative LaRochelle?
Yes.
Representative LaRochelle, yes. Representative Roberts?
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry?
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
And how many were absent on that one?
4.
4. Okay, so with 9 members of the committee voting, having voted in the affirmative and 0 members in the negative, it is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business that the nomination of Michael A. Duguay of Waterville for reappointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees be confirmed. Thank you for your willingness to continue serving.
Thank you for the privilege.
Yeah. And Ms. Reed, if you can bring in Mr. Peter Del Greco. Also, thank you for your patience, Mr. Duguay. For those who have lost track, we have 2 more nominees to consider. Welcome, Mr. Del Greco. I'll get started here and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing on the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Mr. Peter J. Del Greco of North Yarmouth for reappointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees. Under the law and the joint rules of the legislature, the committee is required to hold this public hearing and to recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chairs of the committee, we will then send written notice of the committee's recommendation to the president of the Senate. The committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and any other person present who wishes to speak for or against the nomination. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statutes, which requires that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Representative Roberts for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend confirmation of Mr. Peter J. Del Greco of North Yarmouth for reappointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees.
Copy of the statutory requirements for this position is available at the rostrum and can be received by reaching out to the committee clerk. The chair now recognizes Ms. O'Neill Lowe for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. My name is Melissa O'Neill Lowe, and I'm the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet Mills. And I'm here this morning to speak in support of the nomination for reappointment of Peter J. Del Greco of North Yarmouth as a member of the Maine Rural Development Authority. Mr. Del Greco is being nominated for reappointment to seat number 3. Mr. Del Greco is the president and CEO of Maine & Company, a private nonprofit corporation with members and a board comprised of senior executives from Maine's top businesses. Their services include real estate, site searches, data collection and analysis, and financing coordination. They assist businesses in relation to expansion, as well as assisting with labor and workforce issues. Mr. Del Greco and Maine & Company are dedicated to consulting services to assist and attract businesses from away and relocating and growing here in Maine. Mr. Del Greco has seen firsthand how workforce development and involvement in economic and community development can expand rural communities and help them thrive. His involvement in diverse groups centered around economic development has been extensive and includes service on several boards and statewide economic growth and development initiatives. He is the vice chair of this authority, serves as a board member on Maine Development Foundation, Maine Venture Fund, and the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Del Greco holds a BA from Colby College and a master's in business administration from the University of Southern Maine School of Business. It is for these reasons and his vast experience in business, his dedication to Maine businesses, and growing our workforce that I would ask that you support the nomination of Peter J. Del Greco of North Yarmouth for appointment to the Maine Rural Development Authority. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Are there any questions for Ms. O'Neill Lowe? Seeing none.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Peter Del Greco for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and I appreciate the welcome. Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. My name is Peter Del Greco from North Yarmouth, and I'm here today to discuss with you my reappointment to the Board of Trustees of the Maine Rural Development Authority. During the 129th legislative session, I met with this committee to share some background on Maine & Company, the organization that I'm honored to lead. We discussed Maine & Company's role in the economic development paradigm of Maine since our founding in 1996. In short, we are a privately funded 501c6 nonprofit organization that seeks to attract new investment to Maine and help Maine companies with their growth and expansion plans. This work experience has been very valuable in helping our MRDA projects. Part of the work that we do at Maine & Company is helping companies understand different ways to access capital for growth and expansion plans. Maine Rural Development Authority provides companies with access to flexible and patient capital. Our ability to structure loans in a flexible way is often a key component in whether or not a project can proceed. This flexibility, pardon me, we're fostering a dog and she's just decided to bark. I apologize for that. During my time on the MRDA board, and now they're all going to start barking, we have creatively stretched and used our resource to help large and small projects to assist companies and communities. While our primary tool is a loan program, we have in certain situations developed grant programs to communities. Even though MRDA does not have committed staff, we have a dedicated board and a contracted FAME for administrative and loan services. This structure allows us to maintain extremely lean overhead while creating flexibility and creativity in our programming. Currently, I'm the vice chair of the Board of Trustees for Maine Rural Development Authority. I also have the honor of sitting on the Board of Trustees for both the Maine Venture Fund and the Maine Community College System. I'm also privileged to sit on the board of the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce and my local Little League. I graduated from Colby College and earned my MBA from the University of Southern Maine. I have had the honor of working for Maine & Company since 2004, with the last 10 years as its president. This work has allowed me to understand how the many different programs in Maine can work seamlessly together to encourage new business investment, helping Maine businesses hire more people in our state. Our work at MRDA has helped businesses in Maine accomplish these goals. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll be pleased to answer any questions anyone from this committee may have. Thank you.
Chair would ask if any members of the committee has questions of the nominee. Chair recognizes Representative Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just curious as to kind of what the scope is of a 501c6. I had not heard of that before.
So a 501c6 versus a 501c3 are usually the two, at least from my experience, have been the two types of nonprofits. A 501c6 is typically the same type of structure that a chamber of commerce might have. So with that as a background, contributions to us are technically not tax deductible. And I apologize, I'm not a tax accountant. But when a company, so we've got about 30 members that support us. All of our revenue comes from our membership. And then we offer our services at companies at no cost to those companies. So we've got about 30 members that support that. Their donations to us are not necessarily or typically tax deductible. Whereas a 501c3, those types of donations, and they'll typically accept, much smaller donations, from, $5, $10, $100 donations. Those frequently also come from individuals, and those are also those are tax deductible. So it is a difference in tax law and how contributions to us are treated. It is the structure that is most common with groups like Chamber of Commerce, and that's the model that we've chosen.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
Representative Austin.
Good morning, good afternoon, Peter.
Good
Good to
afternoon.
see
It's so
you.
wonderful to see you.
Likewise. I caught the phrase that you said, grant to a community. Was that, which were you talking about? Were you talking about your presence or the authority? I mean, can you define?
I can. It's something that's come up very recently, and it's been in relationship to all the work that's going on with helping our mill communities that have been devastated by the mill closures. Working with, I just want to be careful how far into the weeds that I go. There's the communities that have been impacted have applied for funding through other groups. And even though we are a loan and a lending institution, we had the means to help provide match to these communities for, and I believe at the time it was for a program that was part of the Federal Northern Border Regional Commission. So as you might imagine, as a lending group, where we revolve our money based on things getting repaid, doing grants to communities is really hard for us. But it was an opportunity to help some struggling communities recover and do some technical assistance at tremendous leverage to what the federal government was providing through the Northern Border. So we reached and we stretched. We're hopeful that there could be some additional capacity given to us from the lending perspective with some of the recovery funds that have already been allocated through FAME. So we're hopeful that that can kind of help bolster some of the grants that we've given out. So I think it went to, if I remember right, it went to 5 communities: Millinocket, East Millinocket, Lincoln, Ashland, and Madison, I believe, received grants to help with technical assistance to help with their rebuilding of their communities or deal with the impacts from the loss of paper making industries.
Okay, so those really sound like pretty much, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Please. Yes.
Those basically sound like a really good troubleshooting agendas, but are there any that would be less troubleshooting and more of economic, just plain, maybe a smaller initiative for a community for economic development?
We would love the opportunity to figure that out, and I'd be happy to discuss that with this community. Pardon me, with this committee. It's for us, it's balancing the idea that we don't get a direct appropriation. So the money that we do have that we lend out has to be recovered. Otherwise, if we grant out all of our money as a lending institution, we'll put ourselves out of business. But I'd be more than I can speak, I think, for people that are on the committee. We'd love to have that conversation with this committee on how we could do more of that, more to help support communities. Communities are allowed to apply to us, and sometimes that does happen for loans. If there are ways where we could do more of a grant process, we would love to explore how to make that happen. I'm sorry, I think you're on mute, Representative.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate it.
Chair recognizes Representative Geiger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome, Mr. Del Greco. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Given your experience, one of the things this committee gets to hear over and over is what a workforce shortage we have, and that this is actually playing a huge role in holding Maine back. I'd be interested in any of your thoughts if you feel that's true and how you think we can overcome that.
It's a really interesting question. What Maine is going through from a workforce shortage is clearly profound. However, I do want to put it, I do get the luxury in my day-to-day job to kind of look at that in a national and in a lot of times global context. And what we're going through is similar to what other, it's not similar, it's almost the exact same thing as what's happening in other states. I do not feel as though our workforce challenges are harder than other locations. Again, I want to reiterate, though, they are profound, but it's a profound issue across the country right now. Workforce participation rates have dropped. We're not exactly sure why. The data is showing that, and this has been out, the first time I heard about these workforce issues, truthfully, were in 2006, when an economist from Northeastern University came up and gave a presentation in Freeport. He talked about the shocking drop in workforce participation in young males in their 20s. They left the workforce, and federal and state statistics were not able to find where they went. They just kind of disappeared. And that's been a phenomenon that has continued. And my understanding now is it's not just males anymore, but it's a lot of people in their early 20s. That workforce participation rate is a lot lower than it needs to be. I mean, that was a lot lower than what it can be for us to have the type of growth we need in this economy. So we need to look at policies that increases that workforce participation rate. We deal a lot with this in the community college board as well. How do we get more training and bring more people back into the workforce? There are tons of efforts going across, looking across the country of locations that are trying to do all that. I'm never been afraid to steal the best ideas. So I do try to keep an eye open for which ones are working. We're seeing communities and states all across the country right now spending lots of money and effort into attracting new workers. COVID has obviously played a dramatic role in realigning the demographic structures of states all across the country. One thing that we need to keep an eye on that I'm not sure how it's going to impact, and I don't know because it's happening in real time and live as we speak, what are the impacts of, I was listening to the LDA hearings. Lots of people are moving to Aroostook County, but they're still keeping their jobs with whatever company they had before they moved back. What are those impacts going to be on our economy? I don't think anybody knows yet. The best thing we can do is speculate. Will those people eventually be able to integrate to work with Maine-based companies? I hope so. My gut tells me long-term that's what's going to happen. And then lastly, I think that looking at college loan relief programs like the Maine Opportunity Tax Credit, I think has the potential to be really dramatic in our ability to attract workers in the stage of their career when they can contribute to the Maine economy. So those are some of the things similar to how Mike Duguay was previously. I could go on and would love the opportunity to share with everyone. I don't want to bore anyone and understand that we've also working under time constraints today, but I get excited and love having these discussions on how we've done economic development in the past, how we're doing it in the present, how we can do it better in the future. Love having those discussions and would welcome the opportunity to continue that dialogue with you.
Thanks so much for your thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions. Ms. Reed, is there anyone in the attendee list that's seeking to give testimony for or against this nomination?
There is not.
All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. Review any written comments on the nomination. Ms. Reed, are there any written comments that have been submitted?
There are not.
We'll vote on the nomination and notify the President of the Senate pursuant to Title III MRSA Section 157 of the Joint Rules. The hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for Mr. Peter J. Del Greco of North Yarmouth for reappointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees is now closed. In accordance with the law the committee may take a vote on this nomination no sooner than 15 minutes. Does anyone, is there any opposition to taking the vote immediately? Seeing none. The pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination for Mr. Peter J. Del Greco, North Yarmouth, for reappointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157, and with the joint rules of the 130th Legislature, the vote will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Geiger?
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews?
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pebworth is absent. Representative Collmore? Yes. Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Steerway?
Yes.
Senator Steerway, yes. Representative Bouchard is absent. Representative Austin?
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Bernard is absent. Representative Hassifus?
Representative Hasenfuss.
Sorry, yes.
Representative Hassifus, yes. Representative Learshell?
Yes.
Representative Learshell, yes. Representative Roberts?
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry?
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
With 9 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and 0 in the negative, it is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business that the nomination of Mr. Peter J. Del Greco of North Yarmouth for reappointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees be confirmed. Thank you so much for your willingness to continue serving on this board, and we greatly appreciate it.
And I'm honored by everyone's confidence. Thank you. It means a lot.
Well, we look forward to, I don't know if it'll be possible in this session, but we'd be happy to have a briefing by you for both Maine and Company and the Maine Rural Development Authority. So
we're at your disposal. Thank you.
Might be at the start of the next session, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, Ms. Reed, if you can promote Mr. Stephen Levesque of Greenville. Ms. O'Neill, I want to make sure that we're on the same page. This is our final nominee today.
Yes, it is. Thank you all so much for spending
Just
your
making
entire
sure
morning.
I wasn't missing something.
Nope, that's it. And it'll be perfect timing because I need to go over to transportation and do 5 or 6 more, I think.
Welcome, Mr. Levesque. We will get started here, and thank you for being here. Your ears might have been burning because you were referenced much earlier in the day. So, this is a public hearing on the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Mr. Stephen H. Levesque of Greenville for appointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees. Under the law and the joint rules of the legislature, the committee is required to hold this public hearing and to recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chairs of the committee, we will then send written notice of the committee's recommendation to the president of the Senate. The committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and any other person present who wish to speak for or against the nomination. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statute, which requires that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Representative Roberts for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend confirmation of Mr. Stephen H. Levesque of Greenville for appointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees.
A copy of the statutory requirements for this position is available at the rostrum and can be received by reaching out to the committee clerk. Chair now recognizes Ms. O'Neill Lowe for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. For the last time today, I will tell you that my name is Melissa O'Neill Lowe, and I am the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet Mills. I'm here today on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination of Stephen H. Levesque of Greenville as a member of the Maine Rural Development Authority. Stephen Levesque of Greenville is being nominated for appointment to seat number 2. Steve possesses over 41 years of experience in large asset redevelopment and management, land use planning, community and economic development, both in the private and public sectors. As you likely know and have heard today, from 2006 to 2021, Steve was the executive director of the Mid-Coast Regional Redevelopment Authority, where he led the successful revitalization of the former Naval Air Station in Brunswick. At the time of his departure, the redeveloped base recorded nearly $1 billion in private and public sector investment, with over 150 business entities and collectively employing over 2,600 people. Mr. Levesque holds a BA in political science and an MS in environmental studies with a concentration in urban and regional planning, both from California State University, Fullerton. Since his retirement from Mid-Coast Regional Redevelopment Authority, Steve has now become a resident of Greenville, Maine, and is well suited to focus on the development of rural Maine communities. It is because of these skills and experience outlined here this morning that I would ask that on behalf of the governor, you support the nomination for Steve Levesque of Greenville to the Maine Rural Development Authority. Thank you so much for all of your time this morning. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody may have at this time.
Are there any questions for Ms. O'Neill Lowe? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Stephen Levesque for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome to the committee.
Good afternoon, everybody. You guys have been busy this morning. Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and distinguished members of the IDEA Committee. I want to spell that out. I am resident of Greenville, and I'm here today to discuss my nomination to the MRDA Board of Trustees. I've been an economic development practitioner in Maine for over 35 years. And I've really worked at working for communities at both the state, local, and regional levels. And I'm really well aware, and I've dealt with it firsthand, even from growing up in Lewiston, Auburn, the challenges our communities face in recovering from economic disinvestments associated with mill and factory closures, and also, base closures. I just got off the Loring board, so I'm very familiar with that issues, and I'm going to be helping them on some business development front. And so I think there's some exciting opportunities for them. Back when I was commissioner of DECD 20 years ago, I actually helped envision the creation of MRDA and worked with you folks to make it a reality as an important tool to help communities recover from these closures and disinvestments. And the state really didn't have a lot of tools, and we still struggle with good tools to help communities. But this was something that we could help leverage the private sector investments into our revitalization of our towns and cities. As I reflect on the organization now, 20 years later, I couldn't be prouder than what the results have been, and has had some significant impacts on our towns and cities. And as executive director of MURA, I actually used this program twice. One to help rebuild a building and provide equipment for a startup company called SavvyLinks. And SavvyLinks now has their headquarters in Brunswick. They have 300 people there, and they have another 1,800 people through the state, including some in Caribou. They have a facility in Caribou as well. And then we also helped it sounds kind of crazy, but we actually took a loan from MRDA, combined it with our own lending, our own monies, and built a building for Blue Dog daycare. What this did, though, is allow that they were in an old building that we had to tear down to make room for a new medical office facility for Martins Point, and we were able to use this program to help facilitate a new building that we're leasing out to. Remember, it's leasing out to them. And doggy daycare is a fairly big business, and I found probably politically charged if you tell them they got to go away. But anyway, so we've created, probably directly 300 jobs just in Brunswick using this program, and it's used throughout the state. I think there's some real opportunities, and a lot of our mill communities and our smaller towns, including Greenville, maybe to help with the ski area redevelopment, Millinocket, and Loring. I think there's some opportunities. There's some exciting new things going on up in Loring that this may have a good potential leveraging factor for new private sector investment. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to join an organization that I helped create and work with some friends and colleagues like Mike Duguay and Peter Del Greco and Lizzie Reinhold to really help continue strengthening Maine's community. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. We had a long day, but I want to really thank you for all you folks do for the state of Maine. You have thankless jobs, and I really appreciate what you do. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Levesque? Chair recognizes Representative LaRochelle.
Thank you. Hi, Steve. I know I know you're just getting on this committee. I just wanted to thank you. Again, I know your background and your expertise, and I appreciate you serving the state in this way. And I am, though, saddened to see that you are officially a Greenville resident now, as opposed to Farmingdale. But it's always great to see you, and thank you again for your willingness to serve.
Thank you. My son still lives in Farmingdale. He bought our house. And he moved back from Maine from Seattle. So
Jake's back. Wonderful.
Right. Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Excellent. Before we move on, I just wanted to say thank you very much for staying engaged on after your retirement. The state is better for it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, I love Maine, and I want to do whatever I can to help it as long as I can.
Chair recognizes Representative Hassenfuss.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Steve, I'm wondering where I'm going to see you next. It seems like you pop up everywhere. Go Moose.
Go Moose.
Ms. Reed, are there any other folks in the attendee list seeking to give testimony?
There are not.
All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. We'll review any written comments. Are there any written comments?
No.
Our next step is to vote on the nomination. So at this point, I will announce that the hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business for Mr. Stephen H. Levesque of Greenville for appointment to the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees is closed. In accordance with the law, and the committee may not take a vote on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing. Is there any opposition to taking the vote immediately? Seeing none. Pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination of Mr. Stephen H. Levesque of Greenville for appointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157, and with the joint rules of the 130th Legislature, the votes will be taken by the yeas and nays. Vote of yes will be in favor of recommending the confirmation. Vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Geiger,
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews,
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pepworth is absent. Representative Collmore,
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway,
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme is absent. Representative Austin,
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Bernard is absent. Representative Hassenfuss,
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative LaRochelle,
Yes.
Representative LaRochelle, yes. Representative Roberts,
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry,
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
With nine members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and 0 members in the negative, is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business that the nomination of Mr. Stephen H. Levesque of Greenville for appointment of the Maine Rural Development Authority Board of Trustees be confirmed. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, folks.
That concludes all of our public hearings for today. We do have a Ms. Olson was going to join us. I think she's joining us right now. Thank you, Ms. O'Neill Lowe. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
Nope, just wanted to thank you all again and appreciate your time this morning and for pushing through 10 confirmation hearings. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure I'll be seeing you again, I think, next week. So
I think so.
until
Yeah, I
then.
think we have a smaller number next week,
a
correct?
smaller number. Yeah, for sure. Thanks
Great.
so much, everybody.
Thank you. Ms. Olson, I believe we have not language review, letter review.
That's correct. Good morning, everybody. Or no, it's definitely afternoon now. You have done an excellent job and I will be brief. I did send out to the committee for your review the letters based on the committee's reports regarding the GEA review evaluation and the quasi-independent agencies. I did give you until the end of the day today to respond to me, and I did receive a few responses in regards to the letter for DECD for their GEA evaluation. And so I wanted to bring that forward to the committee to see if they desire to make changes to that letter or if there's any other changes that the committee would like to make to those letters. I'll note the GEA letters are not due until March 15th, so we have a little bit of time, but I do need to send the memo regarding the quasi-independent agencies today, but by the end of the day today. So taking this opportunity to get the feedback from the committee on those. I know a couple people who are present made comments in relationship to the DECD letter, if anyone wanted to bring those forward.
So let's start with the DECD letter then. Let's see, Representative Hassenfuss, are you still on? I saw that you were involved. I think this kicked off on the email chain with Representative Ducharme.
I'm involved. The
Okay.
gist of it, and Rachel, correct me where I'm wrong here, but was that we'd like to include a quick sentence praising the work that they've done throughout the pandemic and their quick ability to, even though I hate to use the word pivot, I'll use the word pivot and really get the funds out to the businesses and agencies that needed it within there. So everything's good. Add a sentence or two of, clapping our hands, saying how great a job they did in these unforeseen circumstances. And am I missing something, Ms. Olson?
Nope, that seems to capture. So Representative Ducharme had expressed a desire to include language similar to that the committee voted on for their letter to the Maine Development Foundation into the letter for DECD around pivoting when facing the challenges brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic and to continue to provide exceptional programming and services.
Is anyone opposed to that? Is anyone opposed to having that as part of the letter? Ms. Olson, can you make that happen or do you need a vote? You can just make that.
I think I can just make that happen.
Great.
Okay. And then just briefly, since I have many of the committee here, were any changes requested, especially in regards to the memo to the Government Oversight Committee for the quasi-independent agencies, which is really just saying the committee voted that all 6 agencies are operating within their statutory authority, which is what the letter expresses. There were 6 individual letters for each of the agencies, and the only one the committee asked for additional language on was to, I believe it was MTI, just requesting, asking, although not required statutorily, that they include in their list of procurements a brief description of what the procurement was for, and that is included in their letter, which is to that agency specifically, but not it does not need to be included in the memo to GOC because it's a request outside of the statutory requirements. Okay.
Is anyone opposed to the memo to the GOC?
All right.
I think we're there. Do you
Great.
have what you need?
I do, with the permission of the chairs, may I sign that memo and letters on behalf of you for the quasi-independent agencies?
Please.
Okay, great. I will do that. And then I just as a note, I know you were all busy this morning, but I hope you did or will soon notice that DECD has provided the final report that I was anticipating for the committee regarding the softwood pulp industry. So that report has been shared with the committee from Mr. Goodman at DECD. And it should now be uploaded to our committee materials webpage as well. So it did come in 4 materials, the report and 3 attachments. And I am working on arranging to have that report shared with us on Thursday. That's my last piece of information.
Excellent. Thank you. Representative Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Olson not sure. I just want to check. We had some conversation about Maine Development Foundation on their letter back or whatever, report back. Did we put a little extra language in that? You did. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I
This
would have
was-
been fine. If you hadn't, you hadn't. I just wanted to be sure I knew what I was thinking, the right thing.
Yep, the committee requested a commendation to MDF for their ability to, I'm sorry, you might not like this word, you told me to use it, pivot. I think I even put it in the letter. Their ability
So
to
we're
pivot.
doing a lot of pivoting lately. I see. I was expecting them to, I guess.
We're very agile. Yes.
Oh, how about twirligig? But that's okay. Thanks.
Don't tempt me. I might put twirligig in.
I was a hockey player, so I prefer to just do a full stop and then restart. Instead of a pivot, but
It's been a long morning. I'm gonna
Thank
move
you
us
so
towards
much.
adjournment if there's nothing else.
I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Is motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So move second with Senator Searway. All those in favor? Thank you today for your good work. Have a good day.